The 5090 is coming out next week, and we already know the performance numbers. It's super fast, super hot, super expensive. Which makes me wonder, if you're going to pick one of these graphics cards, which one are you going to pick? Now, the sad reality might be that no matter how much you want a specific card, you're probably going to have some trouble with stock on launch day. I've heard that this stock will be the worst, even worse than 30 series, and we all know how that was, and even worse than 40 series, which wasn't that bad because there was no crypto boom, but still, it's going to be a little rough trying to get one. But let's imagine we're in a perfect reality. What 5090 should you pick up, and which one am I going to pick up on launch day on January 30th? Now, luckily, NVIDIA has actually dropped the embargo 1 week early for the 5090, just allowing us to see what the performance might be, as well as allowing us to see how some certain AIB models perform compared to the Founders Edition. These do come at a significant price hike, so if you are just trying to get the cheapest 5090, your best option will probably be trying to get a Founders Edition on Best Buy's website or anywhere else where you can get the Founders Edition. But let's dive right into it and see what 5090 might be the best for your needs. But first, a word from our sponsor, me. That's right. Hardware Canucks did actually recently just report that the RTX 5090 testing shows that it can be much faster than the 30-ish% faster than the 4090, but that's because these CPUs are limited, even with the fastest CPU on the market, the 9800X3D. As we can see, half of the games in 1440p are limited by the CPU, and 4 of them are limited at 4K. You pick up a 5090 and you want even more performance, and you don't want to be limited. How do we fix that? Head on over to ChamberTech.net and you're going to want to pick up the Elite PC Optimization. What does the Elite PC Optimization bring you? It brings you CPU overclocks, GPU overclocks, RAM overclocks, future upgrades, everything that I can do to max out your system catered to your needs in your specific machine. If you want to make sure that you have the highest performance for the 5090 launch, even if you're not picking one up, use code 5090 at checkout for 10% off your order. This order code will be available till the end of the month on January 31st, so you have a little less than a week to redeem this code. So far, Tech PowerUp is the only news outlet that I've actually seen report on other AIB model 5090s. That doesn't mean that they're the only ones who have done that, but they're the ones that I have seen actually give us results, and I do trust Tech PowerUp. All of my sources will be linked down below so that you guys can third-party check these as well. As we can see, the Founders Edition is the absolute worst, running insanely high memory temperatures, something that we all kind of remember from Ampere, the 3000 series, was a real issue. They were hitting 110C, and people were having to throw fans on it, heat sinks, all this stuff. It was a real issue. But it seems like every other manufacturer seemed to figure it out. Who knows what the difference is? It might just be different thermal pads and all this stuff, but even the palette, something that you don't really hear about in North America, is significantly better, dropping 15 degrees on the GDDR7. Reminder, GDDR7 is brand new. We have actually no idea how temperatures might affect it. Now, we don't know about the Gigabyte cards at all, and we don't really know about some of the other MSI or Asus cards, just the higher end ones. The Astral is the Strix replacement, and then the Supreme is just always like their high-end Strix competitor. Now, if you want the absolute best performance, it's going to be super obvious what you need to pick. If you want the absolute highest performance and you're not going to be planning on having any water blocks, a custom water cooling loop, you're going to want to pick up one of these liquid cooled editions. Now, these actually might not overclock as well. The main reason behind that is just because they do not actually need to have as good of a bin because they're going to be running cooler. They can boost a little more. Quick tip, actually, the cheaper graphics cards actually typically seem to overclock a little bit better because they need to have a better bin graphics card to keep it cooler as well as just keep it in line. But yes, if you want the absolute best temperatures and you don't want this to affect your CPU at all, put this at the top of your case, exhausting out air, and boom, you're going to actually be having a pretty cool 5090, as well as these are going to be the quietest ones that you can get because there is not 1,000 fans. Well, I mean, there's 4, but they don't have to run that hot because you have a massive 360 millimeter radiator. The Astral from Asus has one. Now, MSI actually had a 4090 liquid cooled last generation, and it was the Supreme Liquid, and it was awesome. It looked really cool, and it was actually performing very well, but my one real gripe with it was that it was just only a 240 millimeter radiator. That seems like plenty, but when you're pushing 600 watts out of a graphics card, there is a little bit of an issue. Now, with the MSI 5090, they have upgraded that to a 360mm radiator, finally competing with the competition. And honestly, this might be my favorite looking graphics card from this generation. I think the Supreme line looks super duper sick. I'm not an MSI fanboy, but I do like to appreciate when things look cool. So if you want a super cool graphics card that'll probably overclock decently, this will be the one that I would recommend picking up, especially if you have no aspirations for a water-cooled graphics card, custom water-cooled. Now the real issue is price. The starting price of a 5090 is $2,000 US, and obviously prices can only go up because no one's going to discount a 5090. Everyone wants one. So what is the MSRP going to be for these cards? Now, these are not 100% confirmed, but these were found through B&H at PC Part Picker, so I am going to have a decent bit of validity and trust into these numbers. Obviously, they might be a little different, maybe $50 to $100 either way, probably up. But let's see. So the Astral starts at $2,800 US. Why are you spending $2,800 on a card that performs worse than a Supreme? If you're going to, unless you're a big ROG fanboy, do not be picking up the Astral at all. The only cards that I really would recommend actually are buying the cheapest cards possible on launch. For example, the MSI Ventus right here at $2,200. Let's take a look at it. Is it the best looking card? No. Is it going to perform the best? Probably not. But what is it? It is a 5090. That's its selling point. It's a 5090 that is cheaper. Like, yeah, this is probably going to be not the best. It might be a little hot. It might be a little loud. But what is it? It's something that you can game on very well. And probably, honestly, this cooler might be so simple that you can just take these fans off and do a D-Shroud mod, something that I've actually done before on a 6900 XT and a 1080 Ti. Now, sadly, it does seem that the actual cheapest Asus model will be the Tough Gaming at $2,400. Asus, you cannot be charging this much money for a 5090. Don't even get me started on 5080s. I'm so upset I'm not even covering them because they're so overpriced. But like a Tough like this is not that extremely overbuilt. It's not that extremely over-engineered from what I can see. But why are you charging a $500 markup on these? I get it. You got to make your money. But look, you can get a Vanguard for $2,400 or you can get a Supreme for $2,400. These are going to perform better. We do not know about Gigabyte's cards at all, but what I'm going to see is just from looking at Gigabyte's 5090 lineup here for you guys, we can see that the Ice is just a white Gigabyte Master, the Extreme Water Force. If you want one with already a water block installed, this is going to be the one for you. Just be reminded that no matter what the price is, these will always resell worse because no one really wants one with a water block. Most people don't custom water cool anymore. The Extreme Water Force does look pretty cool. My only one gripe with this card actually is just that it does not have a fan on the actual graphics card, which could cause it to be a little warm on some VRMs and memory. But also, it's a lot smaller, so it can fit in a smaller case. But what small case doesn't have much GPU clearance, but a 360mm rad? I don't know. But no, the only thing that I really could see is that something like the Wind Force here is probably going to be closer to actual MSRP. This might be a $2,000 card, which wouldn't be a bad thing at all. This one actually is going to be using thermal putty, which is like thermal grade conductive gel. It is not PTM 7950, which is what a lot of people think. It is actually a putty, which means that if you're going to repaste it, it might be a little bit annoying to do. I would say that no matter what graphics card you do pick up, definitely think about replacing it with KPX or PTM 7950. I am more of a PTM 7950 guy though, just because you do not have to replace it and it seems to perform very, very well and actually is beating KPX on my graphics card currently, my 4090. I do have a video on that as well. This card actually, if it is MSRP, is have dual BIOS as well. Why does dual BIOS matter for me? It is inevitable that an XOC BIOS will be released for this card, allowing it to have full power. It doesn't really matter for gaming, but I do like to have the highest performance when playing games. So Chamber, why haven't you brought up the 5090 FE? Well, it's super duper simple. I think that if you need a 2-slot and you are an ITX guy, this is the only card you can buy. This is your only option. And for $2,000, it is not a bad card. It's going to run a little hot. It's going to run a little loud, but it is a 5090 and you will be getting pretty good performance. I like that they put liquid metal. I like the engineering on it. I think this is a sick looking graphics card, but it's not a graphics card that I would personally pick up. My real main issue actually with the 5090 and actually the Founders Edition in general is that they are a slightly different die revision. That means that if you're an overclocker or someone who just wants a little bit higher performance, if you want to flash an extreme overclocking BIOS, these cards will not allow it, and that actually kind of does limit me. This is going to be a very rare extreme scenario, but for me, I actually like running my RTX 4090 above specifications. My stock BIOS on my Gigabyte Gaming OC when I purchased it back in 2022 was 600 watts. That's the highest any 4090 was. But then I was slid into my DMs 1000-watt BIOS, and I was able to pull like 700, 800 in benchmarks. In games, it didn't really help. I think it improved like 2%. But hey, 2% free performance. I'm now running like a 660 watt BIOS from Galax because it does perform even better. But look, if I had a 4090 FE, yes, it would run cool, but I would not be allowed to do that, and I would be leaving performance on the table. Arguably not much, but as someone who likes to have free openness in his hardware, that is a limiter that I will not accept. So, do you need a small graphics card? Yes. Then get the FE. Do you want something that looks sick? Yes. Are you an extreme overclocker who wants the absolute highest performance? This is not the card for you. If you want the highest performance and price doesn't matter, get a liquid cooled one. Do you want the option to play with your hardware? Get the cheapest one that isn't the FE. That's what I'm doing. So, in conclusion, here's what I'm going to say. The RTX 5090 will be extremely hard to get at launch. I hope that everyone who is watching this video and trying to get one gets the card that you guys want. We'll manifest it out here. But in general, just get whatever card you can get. You can probably resell it if it is not the card you can get for a lot of money. So hey, stocks, baby. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy, hit the like button down below, subscribe, join the Discord, be in the paid membership section. I will probably be doing some exclusive 5090 content just for the guys in the Discord. Let me know if you're picking up a 5090, what 5090 you're going to pick up, and if you're not, just what graphics card you're running now. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Hit that like button down below, subscribe, as well as check out all the links down below. Remember, if you need your PC optimized, code 5090 for 10% off, chambertech.net, any of my products, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.